Many people who leave Mormonism do so because they found out that they could not trust the LDS Church. And so it's really no surprise when we discover that transitioning Mormons have a hard time trusting in any church again or trusting in the representatives of religion. And so if you're going to mentor former Mormons, you need to understand this issue of loss of trust. The first thing is, I think it's really fair to say that the LDS Church has broken many people's trust. One reason ex-Mormons have a hard time trusting any church is because the Mormon Church has consistently covered up unsavory elements from its history. They have, in order to control members' perceptions, they've swept past doctrines and past practices under the rug. And when Mormons discover this, they often feel lied to and betrayed. They might feel angry and bitter. They might feel manipulated by the church that they have really given their whole lives to. And so it's not surprising that former Mormons may hesitate to trust a church. People leaving Mormonism tend to be very hesitant about approaching a new church. You know the old saying, once burned, twice shy. And so people who feel like they've been deceived or betrayed by a church aren't just going to run into the arms of another church. People often say, hey, I want God, but I don't really want church. And so even when they come to the point where they might want to approach a new church experience, they often do so very, very cautiously. Now, there's three factors to keep in mind here. Number one is that the Mormon Church presents itself as the one true church, the only valid and true church around. And so if the one true church turns out to have deceived you, then what does that say about all the other churches? And then secondly, a lot of people feel coming out of Mormonism that a new church might use some of the same tactics that the Mormon Church used to indoctrinate or control its members. For example, like controlling or limiting information or sending someone to check on you every month. And then the third factor is that people coming out of Mormonism don't trust how that church might respond to them. So they might hesitate to tell the pastor or other people in the church that they used to be Mormon because they're just not sure, they just don't trust that people will welcome them if they find that out. And so that's why many Mormons hesitate to trust a church. Well, it follows, it's not that surprising that former Mormons will not necessarily trust a pastor. Mormons are indoctrinated to distrust pastors. They're taught that pastors are just in it for the money. One common narrative is that pastors are hirelings of the devil, that they are in the employment of Satan's kingdom to bring down the one true church. And also, having been part of an authoritarian institution that deceived them, former Mormons are very sensitive about leaders who assert authority. See, they're just very hesitant about anyone who says, hey, just believe me, because that's what they were told as Mormons, and that didn't work out so well. So they'll often wonder if that pastor is really teaching the truth. And so don't expect former Mormons to automatically just trust a pastor. And likewise, former Mormons may have trouble trusting the Bible. Mormons are trained to believe that the Bible has been corrupted, that many important truths have been removed by unscrupulous people over the centuries, and that it has not been translated correctly. They've also been taught that the King James Version is the best available Bible that we have, and that modern language translations are suspect. And so, coming into a Bible-centered church, a former Mormon is going to have a lot of questions about the Bible. Is it really corrupt? Is the Bible just another book of rules that some religion has made to try to control people? And which translation or version is most correct? So don't assume that they'll automatically trust the Bible. And then beyond that, the last thing is that former Mormons may actually not even trust themselves. It's not uncommon for transitioning Mormons to doubt themselves. They wonder how they could have been deceived so badly in the past and whether they'll be fooled again in the future. They wonder how they can really learn what's true and whether it's even possible to discover the truth. And they may be uncertain about the future. And so a number of Mormons will bounce around from one group or one movement to another after leaving Mormonism looking for some emotional security. Now, the Mormon Church casts doubts on the claims of other groups in order to bolster their own claims. But when those claims prove to be false, that leaves Mormons with nowhere to turn, to no one to trust with matters of faith. And so the challenge of trusting God again, trusting the Bible, trusting church and church leaders, and even trusting oneself can often linger with a person for years to come. Hopefully this helps you understand what that loss of trust is like. And in a future video, we'll talk about how to help former Mormons learn how to trust again.